So over the last few weeks, I've come to the conclusion that my poor old 1981 BMW R100 CS probably didn't have the very best of lives in its previous ownership. The deeper I dig into this bike, the more horror stories are slowly getting unveiled. This week's big surprise was the fact that the bike has got two completely bent wheels. And in fact, if I slow down this footage here and pause it, you can actually see exactly what I'm talking about here on the front wheel. That is a big old flat spot, and that is a problem. It was spotted by the guys who were taking my tyres off because the wheels were getting sent off to be powder coated and getting new bearings and all that kind of stuff. But this is a bit of a snag that is going to need to be sorted out before this wheel can be recommissioned. It's the same story on the back as well, and it may very well be the reason why at around 40 miles an hour, you might remember me saying in previous videos, I was getting a pretty nasty head shake on this bike. I originally thought it might be something to do with the top nut preload down on the steering bearings, and it may well be something to do with that, but I'm sure having bent up wheels probably wasn't helping either. So that's just another thing on my ever evolving and growing list of things to do on this bike before it gets anywhere near back to being on the road. Elsewhere, I'm currently having to work on multiple things across the electrical system. Here's just one example, the front indicator harness, a complete lash-up job. Over time, it's been hacked about with incorrect wires and badly crimped terminals and all the usual stuff. It's just another reason why I've decided to pretty much start again with this bike. The whole thing has been completely dismantled now. Everything from the engine to the gearbox, the final drive, the suspension, electrics, all that stuff being completely stripped down to nuts and bolts and will be rebuilt. At least that way, when everything comes back, I will know for sure that it's okay and that any possible nasty surprise has been found and dealt with, eliminated and put right before we get this bike back on the road. Because as I said, I am hoping to do some proper miles on this bike. Technically, there is nothing that this bike can't do that a modern bike can. So there's no reason not to try to get it back to the best condition that it possibly can be. So it's a bit of an ongoing story. At the moment, we've got all of the frame, the fork legs, all of the brackets, the subframe, all that stuff being completely stripped. That's all getting powder coated back to black. And some of the engine covers, things like the rocker covers, the starter motor cover, the timing chest and all that, I've decided to have that Cerakoted. So we're going to Cerakote that stuff back to a kind of satin black. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully polish up the fins. So we'll have some nice shiny fins, but most of the bike in terms of the engine is going to remain as kind of raw aluminium. So that's just going to be vapor blasted and we'll keep that looking as original as possible. I was at one point, you might remember me thinking about maybe just Cerakoting the whole thing, but I've decided we'll Cerakote the highlights. We'll keep the bike looking as factory as possible. So on to the main theme of this video. The title and the thumbnail is all about the handlebars and the controls. So let's talk about that because this was a bit of a journey. Now, at first glance, everything seemed pretty much okay, but that was mainly because a multitude of sins was being hidden by this great big rubber crash pad up on the bars. It does a brilliant job of hiding all of that hardware underneath it. But the reality is, with this pulled out of the way, the true horror story started to reveal itself. What we can see here is just years and years of rust and decay and neglect, all beautifully covered up with lashings of thick black paint, which seemingly was just applied straight over the top of everything while still in place. Gorgeous. Not. So what I did was I took everything off the bike. I removed the bars, all the controls. I spent a massive amount of time doing stuff like trying to cut these Oxford hot grips off that had just been lashed onto the bike, cables flopping about all over the place. I think the person who had the bike before was a big fan of super glue because they used a lot of that to put these in place. So it took me about 2 hours to cut those off. Thanks for that. And they're gone. So that's good. What I did was I took everything home and I then completely stripped apart all of the component parts from the bars. So I got the brake master cylinder pump out. As you can see here, it's just a kind of a spring and plunger type setup. That's been replaced. I then stripped off the levers, all the bushings and pivots and nuts and bolts and all that. all came off, gave it a quick little rinse down, and got some of this. Only joking. What I actually did was packaged everything up, shipped it off to a company called Ragged Moto, who properly blasted everything back to raw metal, and it was then properly Cerakoted back to black. And I am absolutely delighted with how it all turned out. Now, I chose to go with Cerakote mainly because it is so thin. It's only about 10 microns thick, which means it is just a great choice for anything like this where you're dealing with quite fine tolerances. Putting this back together, not a problem at all. Didn't run into any clearance issues with things like the little pivots and the bushings and the little bits of the lever that have to slide in and out of the housing. Everything went back together perfectly, and that is mainly thanks to the fact that Cerakote is such a thin material to work with. It is also incredibly durable. It's part of the reason why it's used a lot in the firearms business, because it's very thin, it's very durable, it's very chemically resistant. So if I was to accidentally spill a little bit of brake fluid on here, it wouldn't be a problem as much as it would be if it was paint. So really happy with that. Just another example of using a little bit of modernity to make this bike better than it would have been out of the factory while still retaining that original look. So things like the brake master cylinder, as I said, that's been completely rebuilt. This is the part that came off the bike. As I said, it's just a spring and a plunger, so a very basic setup there. It costs about £25 or something like that for one of these, I think. I also replaced the fluid pot as well, because the original one was looking a little bit yellow and crusty. I got all my parts from Moto Works here in the UK. It's a great resource to have, and amazing at just how many original BMW parts or replacement BMW parts you can get for these bikes. So brilliant resource to have those guys. You'll also notice that I've replaced the handlebar grips with these. Now, I don't think these are original OEM BMW parts, but they are very much in line with the look of the original grips on the bike. So again, just gives it that factory look and feel, which I'm going for with this particular build. Finally, I did some of the electrical work. I just remade the cables for things like the brake lights and cleaned up all of the original switches, things like the clutch switch and all that kind of stuff, using a little bit of deoxit spray, which is one of my favorite things to use on anything electrical. It does a great job of just cleaning up terminals, giving stuff a new lease of life. It's really safe and good stuff to use. It's been around for a long time. So elsewhere, when I removed the crash pad from the bike, it wasn't just the controls that were obviously in need of attention. The actual handlebars themselves were also pretty much ready to be scrapped. They were really rusty, again covered in black paint, and my original plan was just to forget about these, chuck them in the bin and order a new set. What I ended up doing was getting a set of these bars from a company called Felling. I think that's how you pronounce it. But to be honest, I think this was a little bit of a mistake. These bars are probably better suited for older bikes like the Stroke 5, the R45, R65. Although they are also advertised as being 22mm bars, for me, well, my bars, they are reading slightly over. So again, I was just a little bit worried we might have some fitment issues with the R100 controls. But the main thing is they're just a different shape. They just don't really follow the shape of the original bars that you get on the bikes like the R100CS and the CS. They look a little bit wider and they don't have so much pullback. So long story short, what I ended up doing was having the stock bars completely stripped and re-chromed. And here they are. I mean, would you believe that these things are 42 years old? I am absolutely blown away with how amazing these bars look. So it cost about £100. The guys at a company called RS Chrome took care of it for me. They're a company based up near Manchester. And what they do is they take your original chrome parts, they completely strip away all the old chrome, so all the rusty, nasty stuff comes off. It's then polished to get away any pitting or little scratches and stuff like that. It then gets acid etched and then completely replated. So it's a nickel plating and then the final chrome plating to get us back to this incredibly shiny look. And it is absolutely amazing. We've got not only completely corrosion-free bars, but also you can still see all the details like the serial number, the BMW logo, and I've measured these as well, and there's absolutely zero issues with clearance. They're coming in just under 22mm, which is exactly what you want to see. So everything should just slide on beautifully and we won't have any problems there. So yeah, big shout to RS Chrome, really cool team of people, great communication, thoroughly recommend those guys. So next up, I had to deal with the handlebar clamps. You can see them here. It's the same story as they came off the bike. They are heavily corroded, and again, were just lathered up with lashings of thick black paint, seemingly applied while still on the bars. Who even does that? But anyway, it happened. So the first thing I did was to strip off all of that paint. I then had to get stuck in and try to remove these 4 studs from the top section of the clamp. Bit of a nightmare job, got to be completely honest. The least said about it, the better. Mole grips were used, and I'm full of regret. But anyway, the reason I had to get these studs out was because I'm using this. This is the Toaster Tan top yoke, and it is slightly thicker than the OEM plate. So as such, we need to use slightly longer bolts, and they come with the Toaster Tan setup. So I've got these longer bolts here, which will eventually be used to install the handlebar clamps. So the studs had to go. Once everything was stripped off, what I've ended was I got my Dremel out and I've given these a really good polish. And it's absolutely amazing how well these have come up. They look beautiful. So they're going to look fantastic up on that Toaster Tan brace with, of course, those beautiful shiny chrome bars and my gorgeously Cerakoted controls. I cannot wait to see what this is going to look like, especially offset against that new dash as well. The dash that I rebuilt, cleaned it all up, put new Perspex lenses in it, did all the gaskets and everything. There's a video on that if you want to get stuck into that. But the whole visage of the bike up here when riding it is going to look almost brand new. So really looking forward to getting that all done. So next on my list is to get stuck into things like the electrical system. I've already been practicing working with these little flag terminals. You need a special crimping tool to work with these, which has been fun. Haven't done that before. I've also ordered a load of this correct DIN color-coded wire, which is going to be used to build the various sub-harnesses and things like that. And at least I will know where I'm at in terms of color codes and the wiring diagrams, because I want to keep everything in line with that in case we have any issues in the future and I know what the hell's going on with my wires. So that's all coming up. Going to be getting stuck into that very soon. And at the moment, I'm still hopeful that this bike will get a little bit of road time this year. I'm aiming, I think now with the revised schedule, to be back out and about by kind of mid to late May time. I think that's a reasonable kind of deadline to set. So fingers crossed, unless we hit any other big road bumps in the build, we should be back out in time for a bit of decent riding this season. Anyway, that's it. Little update on the Beamer. Thank you very much for watching. If you're enjoying these videos, there will be a lot more coming up on the channel, so don't forget to hit subscribe for those. And until the next one, ride safe.